Yo, what's up, everyone? This is Gary A. Swaby, and you're now listening to the Powercast. We are back again. I know there's a lot of people out there who were kind of happy that Power was over because they wouldn't have to hear our recaps, but those same people did press play in the first place, so they're gonna press play again. I hope. We are officially back because Power Book 2 Ghost has now started, and yeah, we feel like this needs to be talked about. So I'm here, and I'm also here with Miss Dana Abercrombie once again. How you doing, Dana?
I'm doing wonderful. Excited to talk about Power Goes to Riverdale.
Cool. And if you guys haven't seen it or hadn't heard it yet, Dana actually has an interview with Tariq from Power, Michael Rainey Jr. So make sure you guys check the channel for that. It's also on our Spotify and Apple podcast feed as well. So go check that out if you haven't already. And we're also here with Mr. Richard Bailey Jr. again. How you doing, Rich?
Doing pretty good, Gary, and hope that all the listeners and viewers are doing well and staying safe.
Indeed. Make sure you guys stay safe in these uncertain times, for sure. So yeah, like before we get into this recap, I just want to say one thing to open up the show, right? Like when I was watching the show, like, and I saw all the different characters and stuff, I had a moment where I was like, wow, like, this is pretty dope that we're seeing a show with all of this black talent in it, all these black actors and stuff like that. So the times we're in, it just it really kind of resonated with me, and it made me think like we actually have shows like this where we can represent our people, in I mean, this is it's a drama slash crime show kind of thing, but there's good characters in this too. Like there's characters that aren't involved in the crime side, and I like that. I like to see our people in different kind of roles as well. So I had a moment of appreciation that we are able to watch shows like this because it didn't used to be like this. So that's the first thing I wanted to say first of all. Now let's get to unpacking the show. Because I have lots to say about the show itself. So, so I just want to get some thoughts about what you guys expected going into this. So before you actually started watching this, what was your expectation? Like, were you thinking, oh, this isn't going to be good because there's no Ghost, no Tommy? Were you ready to just write it off completely? Like, what was your thoughts before you even watched any of it? So I'm gonna go to you first, Rich. What was your thoughts on the show before you saw it?
Well, I expected a lot of people to praise Michael Rainey Jr. as having his first opportunity to really carry a show. And for the most part, that has been accurate based on everything that I have seen so far online. So, yeah, I expected that this was going to try and make this character, a character that you will care about more because Power did such a horrible job of making this character someone that you absolutely need to hate and you wanted to see killed off the show immediately. So I knew that this was going to be a redemptive opportunity for Michael Rainey Jr. as well as Courtney Kemp and the Power writers to try and make the character a better representation. I also knew that it is considered a gamble because a lot of people have been saying that Ghost and Tommy, we want to see these people in the show. Obviously, we can that can still happen this season, but it definitely is a gamble to do a show and then not have either of these characters a part of it when they are responsible for the show having 6 seasons previously. So it definitely is a gamble in those regards, but I respect the opportunity to for Courtney Kemp to actually try and create a show with the other characters and taking away your biggest character, Ghost. Yeah, that I have to give him props for that. But again, as you said, there's a lot to unpack, so I will say more later. But I will just say I definitely expected going into this show that they were going to try to make it Tariq be more of a sympathetic character or one that you would root for. And so far, it appears to be that's exactly what they're trying to do. But we'll see where it goes from here.
Right. And how about you, Dana? What was your thoughts going into book two, like bit before you saw it?
A lot of what Richard said, I have to agree with. You don't give someone who is so hated their own spinoff, especially when they know that could kind of affect the viewership and the numbers. So this, I did feel before knowing anything that we would get to see a side of Tariq that we wasn't able to fully get to see during the 6 seasons. Only also because there's so many characters and so many different layers that Power itself has involved itself in that cuts into a character's full arc. So by giving him his full show, we can see some of the choices as to why he made certain things in the first Power, probably including why he killed his father. Spoiler alert if you have not seen the previous Power. But it would build from that, and maybe that it would take and explain how he's dealing with it now, because I don't see him as a character. As much as we don't like him, I don't fully see him as someone who's like, yeah, I killed my father, what's for dinner. I hopefully that is something that will impact him, because I remember Kanan, or maybe it was Ghost, that said when that first kill and how that changes you. So
Right.
hopefully that is what I wanted to see in this show.
Okay. Yeah, so like as for me, it's like, I just didn't see how they were gonna make this an interesting show without, without Ghost and Tommy. Like, because to me, Power is Jamie St. Patrick and Tommy Egan, and a little bit of Kanan. And like, my thought process was, okay, I can watch a Raising Kanan show because that would be that's based on Kanan, and it's close enough to Power and it builds into what happened. So that's interesting enough. I also felt like Tate's character was pretty interesting, so I wouldn't mind seeing a show based on him, because it would be like House of Cards a little bit, but with Tate's character. So I found that interesting. And then the Tommy Egan show, that's Tommy, so of course I'm going to be watching that. But with this one, it was like I just couldn't see how they were going to make this good, like, because Tariq was just too much of a hated character. Like I didn't even want to see him succeed or do good in any way, like because of what his character was in Power. And I felt like this show was probably going to be them trying to make Tariq likable for us, even though he just killed his dad, and I just didn't see how that was gonna click. So based on that, let's
And
sorry,
to be
Dana,
fair, to be fair, yes, Tariq was a terrible person, but you also have to realize he was raised by terrible people. So
a little, yeah, like they were bad people, yeah, but they did go out of their way to give him everything.
No, forget giving you everything. Some of the most spoilers, terrible people grew up in like, oh, I can just, ring a bell and here is everything that I wanted. Here's the maid service. Here's some money. Here's me with another car. I didn't really fully feel that, he was fully accepted and loved and embraced. They was all doing their own thing. Kind of. And, that goes back to the whole, oh, well, Tariq should have got his behind beat. You know what I mean? And then by the time he got his behind beat, it was like a setup, and it really wasn't like a disciplinary kind of thing where you really feel he's going to change. It was way too late.
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake they made was trying to lie to him and not opening up about their past sooner, because they should have just been real with him at that point and said, yeah, this is what we were into, this is what we did. But now we're trying to go in this direction. They should have just had that conversation with him.
And by not having that conversation, maybe in this show, it will show how he repeats their mistakes.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So let's get straight into that, right? Because that was going to be my lead into. So we're gonna do these recaps a bit different. I'm just gonna talk about the characters and certain things that are going on with them. So let's start with Tariq, right? Because he is like the heart of this show, and it's hard to talk about the other stuff without talking about him. So, what was your impression of Tariq? Seeing Tariq in this first episode, of this new spinoff. So like did what you thought before did it prove you right in what you thought prior to seeing this, or was your opinion changed, or was your view changed at all of the character? And are you interested to see the full story unfold now after seeing Tariq in this episode? So I'll go to you first, Dana. What do you think?
Oh, sorry. You have to remember this is not like months later. This is literally like what, 2 days later?
Right.
And he's at school, so I didn't expect a huge kind of character arc and some type of 180 with Tariq. I expected him to kind of still be having the exact same emotions that he had in the finale. So I just looked forward to the situation with the school. It seemed like it was, like the last laugh Ghost had at the end. We're like, hey, you can have all this money, but you still got to go to school. Ha ha, I win.
Yeah.
So I did look forward to him kind of trying to balance school. And we knew that he was already starting his own little drug business with the little kids that was sprinkled throughout season 6. So I looked forward to seeing how that was going to work. When I finally got to see that episode, I think that they took a kind of like a fantastical approach in the sense of, look, he's making all his classes, and look, he's doing this. Oh, and there goes the drug dealing business, and everything is just kind of like evenly shared out.
Yeah.
And he's, so I would have loved to kind of see him kind of been emotional about it, because remember, he didn't want to go to school from my remembrance. He wasn't exactly like, yay, let's go, I'm excited, education. So I didn't really get to see him kind of be upset in that, and to realize, oh, screw you, Dad, you got me again, type of situation. So I would have loved to have seen that instead.
Yeah. Yeah, like what you said right there about, the school and everything, like him balancing the school with like the criminal world or whatever, and his mom's situation. Like I look at it as school, like Tariq at school is basically the new truth, like the new club. Like that's because how like Truth was basically Ghost's. It was Ghost's like distraction from the crime world. Like he was really trying to make the club work and everything, but he got sucked into the crime world consistently. So like I feel like this is the new distraction now. This is the new, like, this is the thing that, because this is the right path for Tariq, right? Like being good in school and everything, and graduating and being a good person, that would lead him down the right path that his parents want him to go. But he is obviously going to get mixed up in other things. So yeah, I look at the school part of this as like basically the new truth in that sense. But what do you think, Rich, about Tariq in this episode?
Well, I think when we initially heard the name of the show was going to be Power Book 2 Ghosts, there was a lot of questions as to why you would have Ghost in the title. And I got my answer with the first episode, and I fully believe this whole season is about Tariq's transformation into his father Ghost. And just to give a couple of examples. Now, first and foremost, we know that Ghost is a character that always would do something dirty and would get away with it. They had the episode titles last season. He always wins, all this other stuff. So Tariq signed up for classes. He obviously wants to get into this advanced program. And you saw in this episode when he basically went and he told them, I didn't finish reading the book. And then he gets another chance. Fairly quickly, I would say, out of convenience, by the way. But yes, gets another quick chance, and then just like that, he blows him away. So he has to worry about, doing well with his own work as well as helping out his new roommate as well. So this is similar to the stuff that Ghost gets away with. Where all this stuff happens with Ghost in the past. He may have killed people, he's done some dirty things, but he always gets away with it at the end of the day. So that is one correlation. The other thing that really made me physically understand and see this what they were doing with Tariq is because of how they are making the character dress and appear towards other individuals. Take, for example, when he decided to meet up with Lauren at the coffee bar, this guy has on a sweater and vest, sort of the same style his father had. So I'm like, yes, they physically want this character to be the new Ghost. So to answer your question about am I interested in seeing that, well, we already know based on our history of Tariq and how he was dealing with crime in the previous Power series, that he's definitely going to mess up a lot of things, and he's going to definitely cause some problems with some of the people that he works with. So do I want to see that happen? Sure, I'm here to see that happen. But I want to see what the ultimate payoff is going to be in terms of where they go from here. Because obviously we know Tariq is going to go through a transformation as a character. But I want it to be realistic in terms of some of the struggles that he faces. I don't want it to be whereas, okay, because this is a TV show, everything works out and everything happens quickly and stuff like that. No, it needs to be a realistic portrayal of the character and expressing the struggles that he goes through, because even with this episode, and you'll get into stuff later on, when he was able to get that money at the very end and give McLean the money, I was like, well, damn, he made $50K that quick to give to this guy? Because you remember McLean said at the end, you owe me $450K. Yeah. I'm like, well, damn, I didn't see him get that money that quick, because it just everything is moving so fast paced. So I like I said, I'm totally fine with them making him the new Ghost, but I want it to be a realistic portrayal, and don't rush through stuff just for the sake of rushing through things. I mean, you really have a whole season to flesh out the characters of the storyline. I hope that is what they intend to do, but we have seen in the past with Power, they haven't done that, so I will not keep my hopes up that they're going to remain consistent and try to do something different, but we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. And go ahead, Dana.
For me, I kind of, well, maybe this is me in a fantasy land of hopes and dreams, but I view it as it's called Power Ghost Book 2, right?
Yeah.
So it could mean that this is a new side, a new page that we're going to get from the ghost of the booksness, in the sense that Tariq could, yes, he could easily just become his father, or at the same time, he can take another path. And that could be the twist of the season, the show. What that other path ends up being, I don't know.
Well, see, the only thing I would say to that is if he took the right path of choosing to do everything good, I don't think that there wouldn't be a Power Book 2 Ghost. There wouldn't
you can be good and shady. I mean, you don't have to be like the full drug kingpin that was your father. You can be, I don't know, take, for example, Tate. Tate is a shady politician, right? Where he has his hands dabbling in both things.
Yeah.
Maybe one hand can have more weight than the other in the other hand. So that, yes, you may see him still do the whole drug business thing, but he is struggling and trying to, well, then that sounds like Ghost. Jesus. Wait, so he could maybe be more interested in the other side of things. I know this sounds just exactly like Ghost, and I'm probably just contradicting myself, but and then I don't know how many seasons Book 2 is going to be.
Yeah. I know what you're trying to say. Like maybe maybe he actually goes down the good path and becomes good, but bad stuff just happens to him. And then he has to keep, being bad to get out of bad situations or something.
There you go. Yeah.
Those are good points. So we'll see what happens. The last thing that I was going to say before you give your thoughts on Tariq, Gary, is that I have to give the credit to Courtney Kemp and all of the writers for picking the perfect song for Tariq. Anytime this kid is running, and I felt like this whole episode, a lot of running. I got to run to get to this class. I got to run to get to this court hearing. but the perfect song with the lyrics, "They made a monster out of me." That's accurate. You know why? Because the writers did make this character a monster with the way that they portrayed him in the regular Power season. Because you made him such a hated character when so now them trying to undo that and make you want to care about the character and like it. I am curious to see if they pull that off. But that song is a very accurate because that's exactly what they did to the character, which is why a lot of people on first opinion when they hear that this guy is leading the show, they're like, I don't want to watch the show because I feel like I want to see this character get something happen to this character because of all the stuff he's done. This is a character that got his sister killed. He got our favorite lawyer Proctor. He assisted in him getting killed, and then he killed Ghost. So obviously, you're not going to like the character going into the season. But I welcome the challenge that they are taking on, and I want to see if they pull this off and make you care about this character. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, see, like, I associate that song with Ghost, like the real Ghost, because they played that for the first time when Ghost was in jail, like when Angela thought he killed Greg or whatever.
Yeah.
So like that song just makes me miss Ghost whenever I hear it. So.
Now, just to clarify, is that the only song that makes you miss Ghost, or is there another song that made you think about Ghost and all the other Power characters?
Yeah, Big Rich Town.
The Trey Songz version.
Right from the start. Yeah, the Trey Songz version too.
I will say this. I like the graphics that they added to the new intro, with the chess pieces and all that other stuff. That's cool. But the same song, as Power. I think some people might, if they were already mad that Tariq is the star and Ghost and Tommy aren't in the show, then they definitely will be annoyed about that. But again, let's take some time and let's see what they do with Tariq, and then we will know whether or not this was a success or a failure.
But see, like 50 did it backwards, because what he should have did was he should have kept the original Big Rich for the last Power season and then introduced the Trey Songz one now. Like, I think it would have been okay if he introduced it now.
Hey, they used the Trey Songz version?
No.
Use the same version.
Hey, I'm confused. So
Gary is saying he thinks they should have used the Trey Songz version for this book 2 series.
Oh, that would have been perfect because they were already trolling Tariq. So then, like, they got the Trey Songz version, which is fine on its own, but like as that theme, remember how much people hated it? So that would blend in with people hating Tariq. That's actually perfect.
Oh yeah.
Wait, so what song did they use for this? Because remember, my screening was
They used the original.
Yeah, it's the original song. Yep.
Original Big Rich Town.
Yeah, because when I saw it, it was like no graphics and no song. It was like title here.
Uh-oh.
Which, by the way, was an advanced screener. It wasn't like a bootleg thing. Just putting that out there.
Yeah, everyone, this is Dana stunting on us, by the way, because she's at like a new level now. Like, she's getting sent all kinds of things early now, like 2 months early. So
4 years. Took 4 years. This is not like a big thing. 4 years. You remember many times they turned us down.
Yeah, well, congrats to you. I'm happy.
Yeah.
But as for what I think of Tariq though, like, what I was worried about is I was worried that they were gonna like instantly try and make him like some super gangster or something, and make him just appear to be like a heartless being and have no remorse about killing his father, and just be able to transition from going to college and playing in the streets with no emotion whatsoever. Like, I didn't want them to go down that path because it would not be believable. So what I am happy at seeing is that they are giving him seemingly ordinary, college scenarios, like, school scenarios and stuff to be in. And he's meeting new people at college. He's actually being given work and stuff, like, and tasks that he has to do and things like that. So I like kind of seeing him being, a young person, and that I think that's kind of cool. And he didn't just instantly rush to get back in the streets. He had sort of a reason, even though things are progressing very quickly. Like Rich said, he got that money pretty quick. Like,
Yep.
so that's kind of unbelievable. But I'm kind of satisfied for now with how things have panned out. For Tariq, and he's showing a little bit of what would you call it? It's not really remorse, but like he knows what he's done. Like the weight of what he has done, it has hit him kind of, and I like the parallels that they made between him and that book, The Stranger. I actually read that book too. I think Dana did as well. I can't remember, but yeah,
Stranger?
yeah.
I don't. Probably in school. I don't remember anything. I have that weird thing where like I read it and then the next day I'm like, who is this?
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. So someone recommended it to me and I read it, but yeah, like I like that parallel that they made between him and the book, because that was that really made him dig deep into himself, and he actually admitted to I made the choice to do that and I have to live with it, kind of thing. So I like that. And I mean, I'm not 100% sold on the character now, but I do want to see where this will go from here. So I can say that.
To just say something really quickly, especially about the whole money thing, which was completely ridiculous. I'm not saying, I don't know. I'm not a drug dealer. I don't know how it is in them streets. But I will say that there were parts where, even though what in the interview there's a whole different writing team, and even though there is a different writing team that brings their own style, we'll talk about tonality later. I do feel that scene with the money getting thing, remember in the final season where they had to raise money to get Tariq out from being the hostage and the oranges and all that thing? I thought that it harpered back on that scene where we saw them like it took a day and it was like 4 people trying to get the money.
Yeah.
So I feel that this show will have callbacks to the first book. And
Yeah.
I don't really necessarily mind, because again, the first iteration was just as fantastical as this one is.
Oh, it was fantastical. I didn't know you liked it.
Maybe I'm using the word wrong, but like completely like out of there, like not realistic.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't do words well. Yeah.
Nah, I get you. But yeah. Yeah. They'll. I mean, I don't know if it's exactly the same writing team, but I mean, it's the same executive people behind it, right? So yeah, they'll be. I'm expecting there to be little convenient moments like that in there, and I mean it's probably a time thing as well. Like they don't have time to show us like the whole process of him getting the money, so they'll just show him like flipping some drugs here and there, and then like instantly he has like 400K to pay the lawyer or something like that, so yeah. But yeah, I mean, they interested me enough with Tariq in this episode for me to keep watching and see where this goes. Now I have to lead into another thing that makes the show interesting, and that's Tasha's role in this, because yeah, like we all know she actually fessed up. Well, she took the blame for Ghost's death. So she is actually incarcerated and she is fighting a case, and yeah, like, so that's kind of like the meat of the show is like Tariq trying to support his mother, and as we see, Tasha is being defended by I forgot the name of the lady, but the black lady that was on the investigation team at one point, and she actually ends up firing that lady, and then she is without a lawyer, and then that trash lawyer comes in, and then Tariq is trying to get Method Man. So yeah, like before we get to Method Man, let's talk about Tasha's role in this and her whole case and everything. So how much do you think like this is like the main plot line of the show to you? Like, do you guys feel like this is the most important thing? I mean, obviously, Tariq's freedom depends on how this case goes. So it's like he's trying to defend two people, his mother and himself, with this case. And I feel like this is going to be like the most interesting point. And we saw a lot of legal stuff going on in this episode, almost to a degree where the show is like becoming a legal show now. Like, because it reminded me a lot of For Life, which is the other 50 Cent show on ABC. So like I feel like we're gonna see a lot of like courtroom stuff this season, and that kind of interests me because I like, I kind of like stuff like that. So but yeah, what did you guys think of that whole thing, like the case that's happening? Because there was actually like a big bombshell at the end as well. So Rich, what was your thoughts on that?
So, first and foremost, in terms of the Tasha character, I still, I'm glad that they had a callback to when you saw that they showed pictures of all the people that James, quote unquote, killed, and in one of those pictures was Lakeisha, because we all know that Tasha is the one that shot her, and she had some hesitancy when they had that discussion, saying, "Oh well, I could have been next." So I'm glad they had that callback, because this part of me still wants her to pay for that crime, because it feels like she got away with that one, because Tommy was the only one. Tommy and Ghost are the only ones that knew she actually killed. Well, no, Tariq knew also. So I kind of feel like I definitely want her to pay something for that. But in terms of how all this legal stuff is going to fall out, I will admit that it is intriguing. Like, once again, they use the argument that, oh, Andre Coleman was the shooter, he was the accomplice, and then all this other information comes out now, says no, he was not involved. So I mean, when she had the word at the very end, when they asked her, do you have a new update to your story? Yes, Tommy Egan is the one that was behind all of this. And then she had the statement about, well, I told him to do it. So that right there, very dramatic effect of seeing all this stuff happening in Tasha, because she does not want to give up Tariq. Obviously, she kept her word that she would not give up Tariq no matter what. So we'll see how this plays out. It is intriguing, but the fact that they mentioned Tommy, that's going to make a lot of people believe that Tommy's going to make a return. Don't really know about that. We do know that, earlier this week we found out that the Tommy show got bumped up, and that show is going to be book 3. So I'll be curious to see what in terms of how they handle that. No, actually book 4, because Kanan's show is next up. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it's just a crazy situation with the whole situation with the case. So I'm curious how they're going to actually tell that story from a legal standpoint. And I do say this. You made mention earlier, you don't know if it's the same writers. I do believe it is the same writers, but I hope that the writers actually spoke to some lawyers in terms of how to write this in a way in which is going to be accurate and not false. Because if I know a lawyer and the lawyer watches the show and tells me this is not true, none of this stuff is accurate, then that's a problem. So I hope that they thought about this when they decided to take this route. But I will say again, just much like you, Gary, I am interested to see how that plays out with Tasha, but I still want that character to pay something for the fact that she killed Lakeisha and seemingly got away with that with no punishment whatsoever.
Yeah,
So,
like just to piggyback on that, like that right there actually made Tasha more of a dislikable character than Tariq for me. Like in that moment, because it's like you're blaming all of this on a dead man, that a man that can't defend himself anymore, and that's the easy way out, just to say, oh, Jamie St. Patrick, my husband, he killed all these people, and he would have killed me too if I didn't do what he said or whatever. Like that's the easy way out, and I don't like that she's doing that, and she won't even fess up to Lakeisha, and then she wants to put the whole case on Tommy Egan, someone who she was actually cool with for a long time. So like that instantly made her more hateable to me as a character. And yeah, like you said, I'm interested to see how that plays out because now the case is going in a completely new direction. It's becoming federal. It's becoming a Rico kingpin case. So there's a chance they probably want Tommy Egan to be part of it. So I want to see what his story is going to be about now because they're probably going to be coming after him in his show. So I want to see
Exactly.
how all of this is going to tie together, kind of thing.
And also, spoiler alert for those that did not see Power season 6, although I'm pretty sure, would hope that you did before you started watching this show. We already know that Tommy knows who really shot Ghost, so that could end up blowing up in their face later on if he does have something to say and then he reveals no, Tariq is the shooter. But again, you have to prove this information in a court of law, so I want to see how they're going to get around that.
Yeah. See, the interesting thing about Tommy is he's a lot like Kanan's character, where you saw how Kanan died, right? Like he died because he didn't want to be arrested, and I think Tommy is that type of person who he'll die before he cooperates with police, before he snitches
That's true.
and tells the truth and stuff like that. So I don't even think he would snitch and say who really killed Jamie because it's not in his character. But
That's
but
true.
but who knows? I mean, things could change. Maybe he has a change of heart when he goes to California. Who knows? So, but yeah, Dana, what's your thoughts on Tasha's legal proceedings in this show, and where do you think that's going?
Okay, so through a quick rewind, I did state there are different writers. The writers are different. It's not an
Okay.
assumption. That's a statement. They're much younger. Pretty Kid hired a bunch of younger writers because, you know, it's a
Wait,
different
so
time.
is it that they have the same writers as previous Power, but they hired more, or is it that it's a completely new team?
I keep saying new.
Oh, okay, I just want to clarify that.
It, yes, it's new.
Okay.
So yes, that because again, you're trying to get that younger voice in the younger crowd and stuff, and I'm pretty sure they all watched, the original Power. But in regard to Tasha, I thought her whole arc that we've seen in the first episode was hilarious. And for me, it really made the show and kept me watching. She is a hot mess. She is desperate, as we can see by her blaming. She blamed like 3 other people in just this one episode and completely confused everyone in this case. Yeah, and Tommy was just that last kind of name that she threw out there in like a hope of a desperation. So that whole arc was hilarious to me. And because of that, that's kind of like where you get like the comedy for me. It's like a little comedy thing that they threw in there. So I am very much glued to find out what her whole situation would be. And by her invoking the name of Tommy, again, it feels that we all already know the shows are going to connect, but it could leave open an opportunity for those crossovers to actually see an appearance from Tommy. Even though he is dismissed right now and they kind of laughed off that situation, they could go back to it and be like, where is Tommy? And remember, they mentioned that they couldn't find him. So it could, have that overlap that we see later in the coming episodes. Um, and, as of right now, we really don't know what else is going to go on or how her whole arc is because remember, this is only like 2 days later. So in the first episode, I really did hope, and they really did carry it off, that she would kind of have that same energy of, trying to get out of jail and that kind of desperation. Um, so I thought they handled her really well. Uh, Now remember how it ended? She was like she got away from one charge and now it's a whole nother case, which is great because they'll kind of continue that whole storyline through the whole season, which I feel is really important because Tariq, from what it seems right now, he's a mama's boy. And I feel that in order for him to fully reach his full potential and become that man that we hope this show shows him as, he's gonna have to break off from his mother, hopefully, not to say you can't love your mom when you're an adult, but kind of break off from her and go his own way. So maybe we could see, a fracture in their relationship, it being strained at least, and that carries throughout the season. Whether or not she stays in jail or is out of jail, there is some kind of way where, things just end up going awry for her. And that has to end up where Tariq makes like an ultimate choice.
Yeah, because I do believe there's gonna come a time in this show where Tariq is gonna be so independent on his own that the thought of like his mum coming back and then trying to mummy him, he's not gonna want that. Like he's gonna want to be his own man now. So there's probably gonna be a moment where that realization happens between the two of them. So
Or he could end up being savage and just leaves her in the jail. Ooh,
yeah, I mean
that would be great. I mean, for me.
That's what it could lead to, But but yeah, like what I wanted to ask as well is because here's what I thought was gonna happen, right? In that last courtroom scene, I thought that Tasha was gonna say Sax did it. Like, did anyone else think that? And also, why didn't she just do that? Like, why didn't she throw him under the bus?
To elongate the storyline, because remember, Sax was there when Ghost was killed.
Yeah, like he was at the club with a gun, so
it's kind of easy to frame him for that whole situation, and he's already on the outs with the department. They don't like him. So it is a very easy way to just say, it was him. And that whole time while he was in the courtroom, I was waiting for it to just be like, ta-da! But she said Tommy instead, like a dum-dum, which, she does some dumb things. So they're keeping up that continuity.
Yeah, because I mean, because she's not using that same lawyer that Sax gave her anymore. So it's like there's no reason for her to protect him. But right. Tommy was actually your friend. So it's like, why Tommy instead of Sax? Like that's why.
Because Tommy did kill what was it, Keisha?
No, that was Tasha.
It felt like a whole year ago. Okay, yes, that was Tasha. Wow. So, yeah, I don't even understand that reasoning then. That's a weird reasoning. Especially by invoking that name, Tommy could be like, hey, you killed her.
Yeah, so like
I'm gonna have to, I don't know.
So that actually leads me into my next question anyway, because I was gonna ask like, what you guys think of Sax's role in this story. So I'll start off with you, Rich. Like, first of all, you can answer that last question I asked, like why she didn't give up Sax, and also like what do you think is going to be Sax's role in this? Because they took the time to specifically show us Sax in another element, like with his people and everything. So like it seems like he's going to be a big part of this show as well. So, what do you think?
Well, first and foremost, to answer the question of what you asked before, the reason why they did not go that route is because they want to stretch out the storyline as far as possible first, and then I guess they will consider that option at a later time. I have to be honest and say I don't really like the Sax character. I don't think that's a secret. I didn't like the character when he was on Power for all 6 seasons.
I don't think anyone did.
So when they had the scene with the family, I'm like, that scene was only introduced because he has a brother that the brothers say, well, it's only a matter of time before you mess up again, and I can get you. Then you'll be working for me. So obviously they're playing on the fact that the Sax character made a lot of mistakes in the previous Power series, and they want to play around with the idea to make you think as a viewer, well, yes, we know he's messed up before, so he probably will mess up again, and this is now something he's going to have to rely on as a backup plan in case this stuff doesn't work out. So that's my only reason as to why they introduced all the other people and brought his family into the fold. But I gotta honestly say, as a viewer, I don't care about this character. There's other characters on this show that they have added to the show because they want you to be concerned about that, which you'll get into later. Mary J. Blige's character and Method Man's character. Those are the characters they added to the show to keep people watching the show. I don't really care about Sax. So he's in this because obviously we know that he is the one that got Tamika to actually be Tasha's lawyer in the first place to try to get her in a better situation. So obviously you have to, and again, you both made mention of the fact that Tariq is the one who he saw Sax there. So obviously he's thrown into this whole series as another obstacle that Tariq is going to have to eventually deal with. Because you remember when he had the conversation with Tariq in this episode, and he says that, yeah, well, Tasha said that Dre did it. And then he said, wait a second, you said Dre did it too. I said, no, yeah, because my mom told me that's what Dre said, when really we already know that that's a whole bunch of lies. So that character is only thrown in here as an obstacle that Tariq is also going to have to overcome at some point in time. Otherwise, I don't really think it was necessary for him to make a return, because it's not a character that I don't. I mean, I know I don't like the character. I don't know if there's viewers out there that enjoy the character, but it's just not a character that I really hope that this guy is not going to be there the entire season, unless something really dramatic happens to the character and he's written off or whatever. But I don't really care too much for the character. The actor is cool, but the character is just a slimy, underhanded person that wants to just take people down and will do illegal things to make sure that happens. So not really a character that I like, but we'll see what they have for him as the episodes progress.
Yeah, we will see. And how about you, Dana? Any thoughts on Sax's character in this?
I think that right now he's just a means to an end. He's there to connect the story, and hopefully they'll kill him off later on, because he's just not likable.
Yeah.
So yeah, everything Richard said, I have to agree with.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not gonna lie. Like, when I first saw Sax, I kind of sighed, deeply. I was like, oh man, why is he here? But yeah, I mean, I feel like he's going to be some sort of scapegoat at some point. He's there to kind of take a fall or something, or screw something up. So that's why he's there. But I just want to know why they I mean, I guess Rich kind of explained it, why they took the time to show his family and stuff. So whatever. But yeah, that's just one. I guess characters like this kind of it kind of ties it back to the original Power, I guess. It makes it feel like it's connected and it's one universe. So I guess it's kind of cool in that element. But yeah, Sax was never likable. So
can I just make a quick comment? I understand that they want to bring back these other characters because they want you to still feel as though this is Power. But in my personal opinion, I think the show will be better served if they focus all of their attention on these new characters and how they are interacting with the other characters. Because again, like I said, Mary J. Blige and Method Man, when everybody heard that they were coming to this show, that gave people a reason to want to watch the show, because you want to see how they're going to do in these roles. So obviously, this episode was meant to set up the season. So I understand you have to show all the moving pieces. But as we get into the season, it needs to be focused on those characters. I don't care about Sax, and I don't even care. And I don't care about his friend from Fast and Furious, who has also made a return, to also get involved in this stuff. But he's still going to be around too. You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah.
John Mock.
First, I like Han, and I was happy to see Han. It's yay, Han! This is what he's doing until Fast 9 can come back out. He went back to policing, so yay. I feel that they had to include those characters, though. They had to include those characters in order to get people to still have that kind of same familiarity. Because if you just jump in right away with all of these different characters and brand new storylines, you just need something to, bridge that sudden, maybe that shockness. and then they can drift away, maybe by the middle of the season, and it could be its own show. Because remember, again, this is not just a one-off in terms of like one season. I do see this being for several seasons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
it'll get there. Yeah.
Definitely, I agree with that 100%. So, and like I said, I understand you're setting up the season, so you have to have the first episode, which shows all the moving pieces in the storyline, all the characters. But yeah, by the end of, as we get deeper into the season, I do hope that there is a plan to focus more intimately on what is going on with some of the other characters, and we'll get into that because we still have a couple other characters to talk about. But yes, we'll see what happens with Sax.
Yeah. Yeah. So Dana, she mentioned the new characters that are in the show, and it being something new. So I'm gonna take that to segue into Method Man's character, and what's his name? Rich McLean or something?
Yeah, Declan Mclean.
Declan McLean. So so yeah, let me start off by saying that I love Method Man in this role. Like, I got a real kick out of seeing him, in like for the first time in the role, like, because usually, when you see Meth in roles like his stuff like The Wire, where he played Cheese, you see him in Belly, in How High, and things like that. And this is like the first time we're seeing him as like a guy in a suit defending criminals as a lawyer and everything, like, and I just kind of like seeing him do something different, and he killed it. Like, he really killed the role. So I'm happy for him. And also, shouts to the URL, the Battle Rap League, because Method Man is also currently a judge on one of their tournaments, so he's doing a lot right now. So shouts to Method Man. But yeah, I really enjoyed his character, and it's kind of cool how they set it up with him working with Tariq. They made it like a build up. I mean, the only question I have is like, why was Tariq even watching one of his cases in the first place? Like, was there some reference to how Tariq came to learn about him in the first place so that he could watch him in the courtroom? Because that kind of seemed random a little, but yeah, like, I just like the whole build up of him, telling Tariq, yeah, you'll give me 500K if you want me to do this, and then how Tariq goes about getting him to work with him, where he makes that video saying that McLean is taking on his case, and then McLean's phone is blowing up and everything, and then I thought that was real cool. And Method Man's like expressions and everything, like, they're just so on point that it really sells the character. So I really like this character, and I can't wait to see what's in store with him defending Tasha. I feel like it's going to be real dope seeing that play out. But what did you guys think about Declan McLean, aka Method Man's character? Go ahead, Rich.
Oh yeah, I pretty much, I agree with everything you said. I like the character. I did laugh when they first introduced the character, and he's talking inside the inside the courtroom, helping somebody get off that obviously did a crime. I did laugh at that because that was just the way he was talking about, ladies and gentlemen, your attention. Yeah, I laughed at that. That was comical. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing how he's going to help with the case, and I like that the same way you said they are building the anticipation in this episode for him working with Tariq. At the very end, when Tariq tells him, "Oh yes, this case is going to be the biggest case of your career," they got me interested in seeing how this works out for him too. So I have to give them props on that, because the build up to that could be just as exciting. Um, so yeah, I give him credit for that, and yeah, like I said, I definitely want to see more of Method Man. Would like to see if they dive into a little bit of his past or some other things personal to that particular character. But right now, they're just focusing entirely on the case, which makes sense. But yeah, I'm glad they brought him on board, and I'm curious to see what they do with him throughout the season.
Indeed. And what about you, Dana?
I really loved Method Man. Also, I love his, just in general, his growth as an actor. It's always nice to see.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that he was really refreshing on the show. And he reminds me of, like, those sleazy lawyers. I don't know what you have in London, but they have those commercials here
Yeah.
where it's like some cheap little jingle that rhymes and it gets stuck in your head, and that's how you end up, getting that lawyer because you couldn't get the jingle out your head. So he reminds me of that, but like on a more upscale approach. I thought that he did perfectly fine in this. I again would like to see more of his background and learn more about his ties and how, because he has more clients than just Tariq. And of course, these are people who are not like, me and poor. These are people who get their money in unscrupulous ways, and they have tons of money to do that. So I would just love to see, maybe how his life is, even if it was like a little half of an episode. That would be really nice. But I thought he was really good in the movie. Not the movie, the TV show so far. I like him.
Yeah, I
He
completely
doesn't
agree.
question anything, which is also a really good thing. He doesn't question it. When he came back with the money, he was like, "Oh, okay. Well, I guess I'm your lawyer." He just doesn't. He
Yeah,
just goes with,
he didn't even ask
yeah.
like Tariq how'd you get all this money? Like he's just like,
No,
okay, I'll take the money, but you owe me more
like,
money.
yeah. He's like this teenager coming in with like, here, throwing money out of his little backpack at him, and he's like, "Okay, thanks. I need more
Yeah,
though."
and it's like
So
it's like he actually doesn't care who shot Ghost. Like he wants to do his job and defend Tasha. Like so that's pretty cool.
it's
Like
just more
he's
like that, and then more of like, just pay me.
yeah, exactly.
I'll do what you ask. You just gotta pay me first.
Yeah.
So I like that. He's a little shady.
Yeah, and like you both said, I would like to see a lot more of his backstory. And I know that currently we're like they're a little convoluted with all these spin-offs, but I really would watch a whole series on that character alone. Like for real. Like he nailed it that much to me. Like that I would actually want to see more of that character. So yeah, I think that's a great character. I can't wait to see more of him and stuff. So yeah, before we get to the other new character, let me ask you guys this, right? Because there's a scene where obviously Tariq is trying to help his new classmate, and he actually invites him to go to his graduation, well, not graduation, like his college party, because he got into college and everything. And he takes him back to his house in Queens, and Tariq meets some people there. So I want to ask you guys, right? It seems like at the moment Tariq has multiple love interests. Like there's like at least 3 different characters that Tariq can kind of date in this series, right? So I want to ask you guys what you think of that. Like, which one of these ladies is Tariq gonna make his number 2? Like, because we have what was her name, Fifi or something, from the last season, and then you have the new
Effie. Effie.
Effie, right? That's it. My
Yeah.
bad.
Fifi.
My bad. Yeah, we have Effie from the last show, and we have the girl that introduced him into the campus and everything, the college campus. I can't remember her name.
That's Lauren.
Lauren. There you go. We have Effie and Lauren, and then you have the girl that was at the house, that he went to. And I don't remember her name either.
That's Diana.
Diana. Wow. See, Rich remembers, man.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
like, "Oh,
Rich
I
is.
know, I know,
yeah."
I know all the characters. Names for sure.
He
I
remembers
miss you
those.
too.
I don't remember names for shit, but
And, and,
Rich.
and to be honest, Lauren is somebody everybody should be familiar with that actress because she played Tasha on Everybody Hates Chris. That's the same young woman. So yeah,
Oh,
that's
really?
how I remember them. Oh yeah.
Okay, that's dope. Yeah. So, which one of these ladies is Tariq gonna get with, man? Like, go ahead, Dana. What do you think? You're the lady, Dana. Like, which one of these
Oh
ladies?
yeah. So let's
Yeah.
ask the lady which one is gonna get violated here. I Why does he have to be with anyone? I know he's gonna end up
Well,
being with. Why not be with all of them? And I don't mean
Whoa.
that in like some type of no,
Well,
no.
hey,
Listen, I don't mean that in some type of like boorish way. I mean it in the sense of you're young, you're in college, you don't need to be tied down to a person. As we saw during that whole college party, people are doing what they're doing anyway. So why not just, float around and live your life and
So
not be tied down to all of these girls?
so you're all for people dating multiple people, right?
He's a teenager. That's what you're supposed to do in college. You go out, you explore. You're not supposed to be tied down right away, in like this deep committed relationship. Go out there and be young.
Well, I mean, I look like a teenager, so do you think I could do something like that?
I do, do you, boo? As long as everyone is consensual, do you, boo?
All right, all right. What was you gonna say, Rich?
I made a comment earlier that it looks to me like this show is about Tariq making the transformation into Ghost. So Ghost had multiple women. He had Angela and Tasha, and of course, a few other women as well as the show progressed. So quite honestly, I think this is the reason why you have these multiple love interests for Tariq, because a
No,
lot of
no,
people. Oh yeah, because
no,
let me
no.
let me.
Angela was the love of his life.
Yes.
He just happened to marry Tasha. But Angela is always and what will be the love of his life. So you can't sell these other relationships really didn't matter. Yes, he loved Tasha, but Angela was the love of his life. And then you had all these other randoms, going about. But again, this is the difference. Tariq was a grown, 40-something-year-old man? Not
Yeah.
Tariq, sorry. Ghost was a 40-something-year-old man. Meanwhile, Tariq is a teenager still.
Oh no. Well, see, I understand that, but the reason why I say they want you to feel this is because
No.
look at the interaction that he had with Lauren at the very beginning. And if you listen to the musical score when they had that introduction, that was the exact same music they had when they showed that visual at the end of season 6, where Ghost was talking with Angie about going to Cho. It's the exact same music. So they definitely want the viewers to think about that and drawing comparisons to be like, well, this could potentially be Tariq's Angela in the form of Lauren. I'm not saying the relationship is that deep yet, but it's pretty obvious that he's going to be messing around with both of these women.
Well, then,
So
plot
that's
twist, Tommy comes in and shoots her in the head.
and from what we see so far, it looks to me like the Lauren character is a positive character, a good girl. But again, getting mixed up with a person like Tariq, who obviously is going to get his hands dirty and get into all this other type of stuff, I'll be curious to see how that changes that character. And you could say the same thing about Diana also, because her family, they obviously are not good people, but we don't know yet to what extent she has been corrupted because they haven't shown that yet. Even when they were at that party and they saw what went down with that other guy that was mad, that Kane was messing around with his girl, you just
Hmm.
saw her acknowledge it and say, yes, this is just how things always are around here. But we haven't seen her get corrupted to do something questionable yet herself. So we'll see how that happens as the season goes on. But to answer the question, yeah, I think, yeah, Tariq is definitely going to be messing around with all these women. Effie, we'll see, because right now Effie only supplied him with the pills at the beginning of the episode. And I like how they didn't mention this character was even a part of the show. You didn't see her name in any of the title sequences at the beginning of the show, none of that. So that's good because it's an element of surprise. So yeah, we'll see what happens. But it's just multiple relationships, juggling multiple women, and his father juggled multiple women. So that's definitely a comparison people are going to make when they watch this, even if it's not altogether accurate. That was put in there for that reason.
Then going off by that theory, then the girl who has the parallels was Angela, right, to Angela, then she could, in this iteration, steer Tariq away from doing wrong and therefore be a positive message or beacon that he needs to not end up being Ghost.
I think that is a very, very good point. The reason why I will question that, though, is because, as was pointed out by Miss Tahada, and we'll get into her character soon, and they showed the video promo of the season that I saw after the episode. She says, "This Tariq kid, anyone that he touches, things go bad." And I believe that is 100% accurate point, because we've seen how the character has been in the past. Can he make a change? Of course he can. But as was already said on this show by, I believe, you, he was raised by terrible people, so we know he has it in him to also be terrible as well.
But he can break away and not be terrible, because there's been plenty of people who have been written off as being, oh, you're not going to amount to anything, who end up coming back bigger and stronger and then beating up that person and be like, ah. So it could work, for him.
Yeah. I mean, we just have to wait and see how it all plays out. I do say that I do agree he can go positive, because Proctor last season, this is a character that I didn't think could make a dark turn, and then you saw what happened with his wife Lindsay, and why he was just sitting there when she was dying and just refused to call the police, call and make sure that they could have done something to try to save her. So
well, this is what happens when you get married. You guys want to kill each other, and he just finally acted on it. So that was that was life. It's like, hey.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, obviously Tariq is going to have fun exploring his options. So we'll see where this goes. But I'm telling you right now, because we've seen this in multiple TV shows, and I don't think this is going to go away. One of those women, if not both of them, are definitely going to get into this dirty stuff also. It happens all the time. Movies, TV shows, when somebody, obviously doing something wrong, then they get deep in the game, and then their partner is also deep in it as well, and something usually happens to that character that does get in deep with them. So I will not be surprised. I'll be glad to see them take a different path, but I think they're definitely heading in that direction.
Yeah, like,
or plot twist, they both leave him, and he has no one.
That could happen too, but
yeah.
But like, so the way I see it is like, so Diana, like, she's desensitized already, because she sees, she's around that type of stuff with her family, so she's seeing people draw guns and things like that, and she's seeing all the crazy stuff that happens in Queens, so she's already desensitized, and I feel like Tariq is going to be able to relate to her a lot easier because of that, because they both have probably seen the same kind of things, so I think that's going to be an easy connection for them, and that's going to be like his Tasha, I guess, if we're making that parallel to Ghost. And then Lauren is going to be like it's going to be what he aspires to be. She's going to make him feel like the person he should be, like the good person, the person who's on the straight and narrow. So he's going to want that, he's going to want that, ideally, but it's just because of the way things are going to pan out, it's probably just going to be easier for him to be with Diana. So I want to see how that tug of war happens, and I hope they do it differently than they did with Angela and Tasha. I hope they make it more interesting and more unique.
Let me just say real quick, that is a perfect explanation. So you articulated that better than I could have. That's what I was trying to get at, to the point that I was making. So thank you for making that clear. That's good. That's great.
Oh, no,
that's a great way to look at it.
No, you're good. Yeah, no, you did a good job too. Like, you helped me actually see that parallel clearer, with Angela and Tasha. So, so yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see that play out. I think he's probably done with Effie. We might see Effie pop up again, but
I liked Effie.
But Effie is obviously still smitten with him. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean,
Or
they
plot twist,
go
what?
ahead.
Effie could end up being the ride or die because she's so smitten.
Yeah, what I feel like might happen with Effie down the line is like after Tariq has already committed to one of these women or both of them or whatever, like there might be a time where he's just annoyed with one of the women, like Diana or Lauren, and then he just has a one night stand with Effie or something like to get back at them.
Oh,
Like he might do something grimy like that, you know.
Ghost. That's Ghost. So that could happen. The only thing that I did not really like about them bringing back Effie didn't even go into the connect that she was working with and why she considered, Tariq competition and made sure he got kicked out of Cho. So if they are going to continue to have Effie on this show, I hope we eventually get an answer to that question, because I initially thought that was somebody that was working with Mary J. Blige's character. But
Mm.
again, we don't have an answer for that yet, so we have to wait and see how that pans out if they decide to elaborate on that further.
And speaking of older characters, remember the teacher he framed? I was
Yes.
ready for him to like pop up and be like, "I got you, I'm coming for you," and that
Well,
whole situation. But
That that
again,
that
it's only the first episode.
yeah,
that
you
that
never
that,
know.
that, that that better be revisited, because that character also, as I recall, was he was in a wealthy family as well.
Hmm?
Um, so I think that he could definitely get himself out of jail and try to find what is going on with this Tariq kid now. So I hope that they definitely dive into that as well.
Hmm. I want his revenge to like be seen on camera or something. Maybe he kills Effie, and Effie's like, maybe it's like a whole thing with the sister. Remember when she got killed instead, and he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna come and get you," and it's like, "No, I got Effie," and blows her away.
Possible.
Excitement.
Yeah, so let's get to Mary J. Blige's character. What's her name? Rich Tahada. What is it?
Yeah, it's Monae Tahada. Yeah,
Monae Tahada. Okay, cool.
yeah.
Yeah, so like, what did you guys think of her debut at the party? Like, I mean, we were talking about her a little bit, before the show and everything, but yeah, like she made a grand entrance in this one, and as you can see, she's definitely the dark horse of this story here. So go ahead, Rich. Like, what did you think of that character, and where do you think this is going?
I mean, I once again, this is an interesting character in which I'm very curious to see how everything progresses. The fact that all of her kids, we got a chance to see both of her sons and as well as a daughter. Kane, the actor who plays Kane, was also in the Bobby Brown BET movie, which I thought was wildly entertaining. But yeah, it's good to see he's getting more work. I think obviously with Mary J. Blige's character Monet, it's more so about you seeing how she conducts herself. Because even though you saw her in that scene, you didn't see her really, do anything really, really grimy. She let her, she let Kane go ahead and handle his business and take out that guy later in the episode. Uh, but she appears to me as a character that likes to be very careful and calculated with her actions, which is like another character that we knew of by the name of Ghost, who was careful and calculated until season 6 when everything fell apart. And he just killed Terry Silver and left the body in that car. It's like, yeah, Ghost got very sloppy. Yeah, he got very sloppy. And then, of course, he has a conversation with his son Tariq. Yeah, I had to kill Breeze. And then doesn't even think later in the day. Or, yeah, later in that day, Tariq kills him and is surprised that Tariq tells him the same story he told him not too long ago. So, yeah, like I said, Mary J. Blige's character is calculating, careful, and obviously, Tariq is going to want to work with them because he's going to see that they're into the game heavy like that. I'm pretty sure that Mary J. Blige's character will have some hesitations of working with him. So we have to see how that plays out. But again, if Power has told us one thing about Tariq, this is somebody who cannot be trusted and a character you need to be careful of. So we cannot pretend like everything that he is going to do in this season is going to be perfect and he's going to not create some issues, because the show history of the show has told us this is a character that creates problems for everybody else. So I'm very curious to see how it is that he creates issues. And if I could make a prediction, if I can, before you go to Dana and you give your thoughts, I would not be surprised if the actions of Tariq leads to one of Monae's kids getting killed, because it feels like something is going to happen that's going to set them on opposite paths heading against each other. Now, again, it can go in a different direction, but I feel like, as we have seen before in so many movies and TV shows, these things normally happen where both sides end up going against each other. So I'm curious to see how they tell this story. But they definitely made me interested in Monae's character, and then the fact that she has all of these kids, um, as well as their characters, and they all have an important role in the show as well. I'm definitely sold. We need to see more of Monae. We need to see more of her kids from here on out, and less of Sax, please.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like, she left a great lasting impression. And yeah, it just makes you want to see more of this character, and what's going on with her, what makes her tick, like what she's got going on in the streets and everything. Like, I really want to see, because she is, to me, she is Ghost. Like, she is the new Ghost. Like, because she is that interesting, calculating character. So yeah, I just want to see more of her. But Dana, what did you think of Monae Tahada, aka Mary J. Blige?
I just want to say really quickly that I thoroughly love Richard's ability to just basically be a walking IMDb page and basically a Wikipedia where he
Oh
can
yeah,
tell you every character in this show, what they've done previously, how tall they are, where they live, their height, everything. I love that about you.
That's why we need
It's
Rich here, man.
Richard is like the glue of everything. I love it. But in regards to Mary J. Blige, um, um, well, I think that, as you guys said, she is the wild card. She is the one who seems to be the most grounded character, and also she is the connecting. She's the one who really truly connects um to with Ghost, and we saw that with through the relationship. Remember the guy who they arrested in the first show, whose name I can't remember, what I'm sure Richard would know. How she is directly connected to him, and she kind of has it not has it in for Ghost, but you can see that there's some form of a history, which I think plays really well with this spinoff. I liked how she seems to be a character who we she seems to have such an interesting backstory, and you're also interested in what she's going to bring to the story in the present and in the future as well. In regards to the relationship with the whole kids, this is someone who has seen things and has been around, and I kind of view it as she could be kind of like a Tariq's mother, like a second mom to Tariq, depending on how he goes with his storyline. She is someone who has knowledge, she's established, she has connection, and her kids, they're very much so into that whole game situation. So she's full of knowledge and resource, and he can utilize that to further his path if he decides to go down that same line as his father. So I really like that about her. And I thought that she brought a really great, surprising element, yet someone that, could, I don't know how to say, like, not a sense of comfort, but just a sense of, because she knows everything, she can be a guide. Whether that's a proper guide, we don't know. I doubt that. But she can still be that guide outside of the prison. And it also showed, how she is dealing with Tasha and remember in the prison and what's going on with that. So I feel that she is the one who can bridge the Tasha that's in jail with what's going on the outside. So I appreciate that very much so.
Yeah, good, great insight across the board here. And yeah, so like she's tied to someone Ghost used to know. Was it the Breeze character or something?
She,
Or
yeah, remember when they showed that they aired the, well, yeah, Richard would know because he knows all the characters.
go ahead, Rich.
No. I know at the end of the episode they showed the father.
Hmm.
Um, I don't know if that. I would have to go back and watch Power to see if that character has ever been in the previous show because I don't remember him being in there because when Ghost got locked up, there was other people in there, but I mean I just don't know, so I can't say for sure.
Isn't he the brother of like the Spanish? Remember there was like the Spanish guys who ended up going to prison? Showed like the news clip.
I'm not 100% sure about that. So I
Okay.
definitely have to check to make sure. But it would be good if the character is connected to
Could be, right?
the previous Power series because I know the only thing I know is they had the scene where she was having where Monet was having a conversation with her husband and talking about the husband is asking what do you know about this Tariq kid. So I feel like that character, there's still more that they have to tell with the character. All we know is that he is locked up because of he was in gang affiliated activity, so that's why he's locked up right now. But we're gonna see what happens because if I could make a prediction again, eventually he will get out. And if Tariq has done anything wrong with his family, well, then that once again, this is someone else that's going to try to come after Tariq. So we'll see. Like I said, I don't want it to be a cliche in how they handle the story, but I'm just saying some of this stuff I think is going to happen. There's going to be conflict with Tariq and the family. It's pretty obvious there's going to be some conflict, but we just have to see how they tell the story and if it's done in a different way, different from what we've already seen in other movies, TV shows, etc.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cause she, with all the clout she has and the fact that she's in Queens, I think it's completely plausible that she would know who Jamie St. Patrick is, and
Oh
he
yeah.
he would have known her.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I want to see, what connections they draw based on that.
Or
So,
Or, for example, she knows exactly who everyone is and goes somehow wrong the family. She ends up luring in Tariq only to betray him and reveal the real truth behind why. Oh,
there you go. Dana's
Very, very,
writing right
very,
now. She's on the writing
very,
team
very
now.
possible. And I have to say now that you said that, Dana, I will be very disappointed if that is not the path that they take.
yeah.
Because
Probably not. You know how this goes.
yeah, because they should do that though. Because that will definitely keep people guessing and on their toes about how this is going to go with Tariq and his affiliation with them. But we'll see.
Okay, so yeah, we're almost an hour and a half deep here. So let's I'm gonna ask like the final question, I guess. So in my mind, idealistically, Jamie St. Patrick is still alive, and all of this is a hoax, and he's gonna come out at the end of the season. Like in my heart, that's what's gonna happen. But until that point, I have to ask the question. Like, do you guys think that we're gonna get any more people coming back from, the previous Power series in this show? Like, any more surprises and stuff like that? So go ahead, Dana.
Can you just tell me how this one ends? Because I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll just say a general yes. 'Cause, yeah.
So this one ends with Tariq is at the computer and he's researching and he finds Mary J. Blige and the picture of her and her
Oh,
husband, I
yes.
guess.
Okay. Yeah, good thing I
And
asked before that, because I would have just spoiled the whole thing. Yeah. My answer is yes. You'll be really surprised in the next episode.
okay, I'm not asking Dana because she knows too much, man. Like she's in the writing room with the people, man. So
I'm like- I'm in 2021 right now.
okay, so how about you, Rich? Like, do you think we're gonna get any more surprises?
Yeah, the promo for Power for the entire season, as well as the next episode, uh, they showed a funeral for Saint Patrick, and we saw
Oh,
Miss.
That's not really
Yeah, yeah.
him. It's not really his body.
you
No.
see, you see, it's so good.
Well, we didn't see the body. We saw a picture, but then we also saw Tate was carrying the casket. So yeah, you are going to see other people from Power return on this show, because the whole thing about it is that you have book 2, book 3, book 4, book 5. You have to show what happens to these other characters in making little cameo appearances throughout as the story continues. So I would not be surprised if we see Tommy at some point. But I think if you see Tommy, that's going to possibly be towards the end of the season, if not the season finale, because then it's going to make people want to watch and see. Oh, so now Tommy, maybe at the end of the season, he finds out Tasha been talking about me. I'm gonna have to deal with this situation. And then the season ends. Now you got people hooked in to be like, oh, well, I got to watch what happens next season now. So yeah, this is you have to think about it. These are the tactics that are on television shows. We've seen this stuff done multiple times. So I'm just telling you, yes, to answer your question, there will be other characters that will show up. Yeah.
Now all I'm thinking about is Tasha's in prison. Tommy finds out and he sets on fire like Dre. That was such a terrible, funny way to go. I'm sorry.
Well, hey, and that's another thing. Two Bit is still locked up. That character is still alive. So, hey, you'll probably see that character return at some point. Also, maybe not on this show, but on Tommy's show. I mean, it's possible. We'll see.
He pops up on the bus with Tasha going to another prison. Sorry.
It's possible.
Yeah, those are some good points. Like, I could totally see, Tommy coming, like, making an appearance at the end of the season, and then his season will basically be, like, showing us what led up to that moment or something like that. Like,
that is exactly how they would do it. That's a very good point, because just to go back to with season 6, when they show all those little episodes of this is all the stuff that happened on this day that Ghost got shot. That's exactly how they would do that too. I bet, but we'll see.
Yeah.
That's right. Because remember, Kanan is a prequel.
Yeah.
So none of this whole thing is like gonna be chronological.
Yeah.
That's true.
That would be good. So we just figure out his time between him hypothetically, him showing up in book 2, and then what he was doing from the shooting until that point.
And by the way, I just want to throw this out there. I'm not trying to, say that I know something that others don't, because I obviously don't. But I find it funny how they had a preview viewing showing of this episode, and Joseph Sakura was hosting the show. So that tells me, okay, they want you to remember Tommy is still a part of this, show. But this is not his show. So, I think he definitely will show up at some point this season. But it might be, like I said, a cameo towards the end of the season, where now he has to get involved since Tasha is talking trash about him. So,
this is great. Like, this is really like a gangster Marvel universe. Like, because you don't know, like, where these characters are going to pop up. Like, it's dope.
Well, they did call it the Power Universe. I remember the hashtag is Power will never end or something like that. So.
Yeah, that's right. It never ends. They're right. It doesn't end.
Yeah. All right. So my final question was basically like, what's your thoughts on the show? Like, what would you rate it out of 5? Like, after seeing it and everything. So, I'll actually No, actually, I'll let you guys go first. So, who should I go to first? This is very exciting here. So, go ahead.
Yeah, Dana. Yeah, I say Dana go first.
Yeah, Dana. So you watched it first. You watched it before both of us. So I'm gonna ask you. So, like, what's your final thoughts on the show? on this episode and everything. Like, what would you rate it? And has it changed your perception of what you thought it was gonna be?
In regards to just this episode,
Yeah, just this episode.
This one.
Not
Okay,
not episode 2.
I'm sorry, I'm just like really giddy because of episode 2. Okay, so what am I rating it out of? Like out of a 10?
5.
I would give. Okay, so out of a 5, I would give it a solid 3. There were some elements that seemed kind of crazy. It's like, oh, that's not really realistic. But I guess in that realm of drug dealing, it would be. There were some things that came a little bit too easy for the character, as you guys mentioned previously. There are a couple of, the whole kill is, this is like the, no, but I don't know if I should say anything because I don't know where we're at. But like, there are some characters, again, where like the killing part is a bit weird. The tonality is much different, which I appreciate because, again, this is a teenage show for a bunch of teenagers that happens to have adults in it, as opposed to an adult show with teenagers in it. So I give them credit for changing up the whole tone, but still keeping the essence of Power. There are some strong characters. There are characters that we hate, and there are characters that really shouldn't be in this. But for a pilot episode to keep me to still continue to watch and to keep my interest up, I would have to give it a solid 3.5 out of 5.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. So, how about you, Rich?
I'm going to say I would potentially give the episode just a flat 3 out of 5. I have to admit, I was very prepared to come on this show and say I want to give this show a 1 out of 5, but I'm going to give them credit because you got me interested in some of the characters as well as where the storyline could go. But in terms of a first episode and how it has set up a lot of things that could happen this season, I think it has done enough to get people's attention. I'm not going to say it was an amazing episode because I saw the reactions on Twitter. People like, man, this is a phenomenal episode. Ghost who? They don't need to have ghosts on the show. I disagree with that take, by the way.
Yo, but, send me their Twitter ID, please.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of people that they was impressed. Michael Rainey Jr. did an excellent job. Well, of course, yes. I mean, he's a good actor. I mean, he did a good job. I don't think that was ever in question. But what the question is to see what is the path that they're going to take with this storyline, because they can go in so many different directions with all the different characters and with Tariq as well. So, but for now, I would say, yeah, at least I give it a 3 because you have my interest, and it can only improve from here, but it can also go down. But I think right now, I think it's solid at a 3 for me personally, just starting out the gates.
All right, cool. So, solid 3 from Rich. So yeah, as for me, just like Rich said, I was prepared to go into this like even when you guys told me it's coming out this week, I was like, oh man, got to watch this show, man.
You guys was like, oh, this is awful.
Yeah, like I wasn't too thrilled, about it, but after seeing it though, I was like, like, yeah, they did enough to sell me. Like, I was like, okay, this is actually kind of interesting, and it kind of refreshed it made me appreciate what I actually liked about the original series, like when it was at its peak, because I really didn't like season 6, of course, but everything before that was pretty decent, like pretty good, like the original Power. So this kind of refreshed my love for that series a little bit. So I actually appreciate what they're doing here, and just the fact that it's I mean, I don't want to say it's a black show. There's people of different ethnicities in there. There's white people, black people, Spanish people, and everything. So it's not just a black show, but I just like seeing black people and people of color like on a TV show instead of the normal stuff. So I appreciate it a lot for what it's doing here, and even though I don't fully like Tariq's character yet, I am interested to see where this is gonna go. And I like the tone of the show. I feel like Michael Rainey Jr. did show kind of a little more range in his acting as well. I can tell he's really working on that. And I'm super interested in the new characters, Method Man and Mary J. Blige. So I want to see where things go with them too. So yeah, like I'm gonna give it a 3.5 out of 5, just like Dana, because I came out of this a lot more excited to watch the entire season. So
You don't understand how monumental that is, just in general, because I hate Power, to be a bit honest, and I'm like 3.5, and you're like, yeah, I like the first one, and your pure hatred before coming into this season was like, it's gonna be a 0. So your 3.5 really says a lot. And my whole turnaround, like, yeah, I want to see the show again, and I'm chuckling and enjoying it. They did a good job with this. Richard's a bit neutral, but they did a good job with this.
yeah, I mean, I will say though, I will say this, it like it could take a nosedive very easily, like very quickly if they make the wrong choices or they go the wrong way or something like that. Like it could get bad
That's with
very
any
easily.
show.
So
I mean, Empire was great, and then it just kept going on.
yeah, so
Let me just say, no, I thought they did a good job, but I will say this: if every episode I have to hear that song again over and over again, and Tariq is running from this place to that place, then they're gonna start to lose points from me on that. We heard that song. It feels like we heard that song the whole episode, different scenes. And if it wasn't just the lyrics, it's the same beat, the same music. I'm like, okay, maybe that should have been Tariq's theme instead of the Big Rich Town as the opening theme for the show. But listen, it's still a good decent job. So we'll see where they go from here.
I love how you could just pull out songs and know everything. It's amazing.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
IMDb
right there. There you go.
IMDb Rich.
He's the trivia section right now.
Yeah. So yeah, that's our review of Power Book 2 Episode 1. We will hopefully be back next week to recap the next episode. I low-key want Starz to just send us the episode early, like, please. But yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, so far so good. We'll see if they're able to keep up this, consistency and keep us glued to this show. And if you are returning here, definitely make yourselves known in the comments section. And we are on YouTube, we are on Spotify, we're on Apple, iTunes, and yeah, and we're over at the Koalition.com as well if you want more content based on entertainment, video games, even wrestling, things like that. Definitely check us out at the Koalition.com. The links are on the screen right now, so you can check out our socials as well. We are pretty active, so yeah, definitely check everything out and make sure you leave your comments. We are very excited to discuss this show with everybody who listened to the Powercast previously. So yeah, definitely let us know your thoughts. Big shouts to Robert Silva as well, because he's one of the main people who really supported the Powercast and made us want to come back, because when we see that we have that level of support, we feel like we have to keep up the consistency. And we are working on maybe covering other shows as well. I believe Walking Dead is one of the shows we might be covering soon as well. So and there's a few other things too. So yeah, definitely subscribe and keep checking back, see what we're posting and everything. Check out all of Dana's interviews and things like that. So any final words before we get out of here, Dana?
Thank you everyone for listening, and don't forget we do have that Michael Rainey Jr. interview. Well, he goes into it's very interesting because he talks about this show as being his redemption story, and that he is a very misunderstood character, and that he would like for people to appreciate what he brings to the Ghost family.
Yeah. So like everyone who sent him death threats in the past, you might want to like go back to your IG and just delete that thread like that you sent, previously, because he don't deserve that. So
he's just an actor. Don't do that. That's not right.
exactly. And Rich, any final words before we get out of here?
Yeah, I agree 100%. Do not threaten the actors. They are just playing characters on TV. This is not real life. But yeah, shout out to Starz for keeping me entertained because they've had a couple of shows that I have been watching, waiting for Power to return. So I look forward to seeing what Starz has planned for the future of their network because they clearly need more shows on there. But we'll see what happens.
They have Hills coming up, which is a wrestling-based show, and also we have the P Valley.
Yeah, P Valley just ended. Check that show out, and if you are interested in hearing some thoughts, let me know. Maybe I may say something on that. But
and also the interview. We have the interviews for that too. Sorry.
Oh yeah. You're right. We do have interviews actually. Yes.
We have interviews for that.
Yeah,
video and everything.
Please check those out as well.
Yep. Indeed. So thanks for listening, everyone. Leave your comments and check us out next week. Have a great week, everyone. Enjoy your Labor Day and everything. See you soon.
See you soon.
Yeah.